Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Debate Me channel, and unfortunately, we have yet another shooting. Watch the surveillance video. As this SUV approaches, you will see people start running away. This is the very beginning of the shooting. This is in Philadelphia. There are 6 people dead, 25 people wounded. And again, this is the beginning of the shooting. You're going to see someone on the ground in a second there. Someone either gets hit or fell down. Someone approaches to help them. This is
Thank
South
you for joining
Street
us for
in
this special
Philadelphia.
report at noon. I'm Nydia Hahn along with Jillian Mealy with an update on the mass shooting on South Street in Philadelphia.
We have been following this breaking news all night long. 3 people are dead and 12 others wounded after gunfire erupted in the Queen Village neighborhood. At least 2 gunmen are still on the run.
So this is a little bit of dated information. They're saying only 3 dead, 12 injured.
And at this hour, after police say they fired into a crowd of hundreds.
Here's a look at exactly where the shooting happened in the 200 block of South Street. After the gunshots rang out, people in the crowd ran, terrified, down the block.
Officers nearby saw the shooting unfold, and one of them, we are told, fired at the suspect. It is unclear if the suspect was hit.
Thing happened, and you can see behind me it's pretty quiet on South Street now as detectives continue to do their work. But a few hours ago, whole different story. People out enjoying themselves on South Street. They had to sprint to safety when they heard the flurry of gunshots. Take a look. The last time we heard from police, they told us 14 people have been shot. 3 of them, 2 men and a woman, were pronounced dead with multiple gunshot wounds. If you come to South Street, you know there's lots of bars here, restaurants, and on summer weekend nights, there are lots of police officers. That's standard procedure. Officers quickly engaged at least one person who was shooting in the crowd. They literally watched him shooting. So an officer fired at him. They're not sure if that person was hit, but they did drop their semi-automatic handgun with an extended magazine before they took off on foot. Police found another handgun here as well. And when businesses...
I like how they point out that they dropped their semi-automatic handgun. I mean, they could have just said gun. I can't remember the last time that someone has done a mass shooting or any shooting in general that didn't involve a semi-automatic handgun or rifle. Right? So you got to pay attention. Like these are communication experts. This is what they do for a living. The word choice is by design. Right? When is the last time you heard of a shooting of any sort where it was something not involving a semi-automatic weapon? They know that the word automatic, right, that's part of semi-automatic, they know the reaction. This is why, let me tell you the power of the media. The reason why today in 2022, many of you probably don't even aware of this, the reason why we call quadcopters, or you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, quadcopters, like they've reshaped our vocabulary. The reason why we call quadcopters today drones, the reason why we call remote control aircraft, specific types, the reason we call them drones is because of stuff like this. The word drone is associated with weapons, right? And that was something that people were afraid of, the idea of regular civilians having quote-unquote drones. They pushed this narrative using this word so much. The manufacturers of quadcopters fought back against the changing of the name and calling it drone, but they kept bombarding some drone over the airport, something another, and should this be regulated and whatever, till now the manufacturers themselves are now calling these quadcopters, these remote control aircraft or UAVs, they're now called drone. Now, if you go to a store that sells quadcopters and you ask for a quadcopter, they'll be like, what are you talking about? So the semi-automatic, to those who don't understand the game, you may not recognize that there's a reason that they called it that. Because again, that just describes pretty much the average gun that we're seeing in most of these shootings. So they could have just said gun or pistol or rifle, whatever it is.
Reopened this morning, detectives are going to be asking them to check their surveillance footage. And if you were here last night, please want to know if you have any information that can help them find the person or people who did all the shooting.
We expect to be able to gather a lot of video surveillance footage from these cameras.
By the way, I don't want to mislead you guys in terms of there are dishonest actors, right, who are pro-gun, who will utilize what I just did to distract from the conversation. They don't want to talk about gun safety. They don't want to talk about the victims, whether it's school, children, or random people at a club. They don't want to talk about the carnage. They don't want to talk about what we should do, right? And if you disagree with what's being suggested by some people, they don't want to come with alternative suggestions that they're serious about. They'll say nonsense, right? Oh, it's a door, bigger doors, or we need bulletproof door. They'll say stuff like that. Make no effort to make that actually happen, right? Because they don't care about who dies. So they'll say random stuff, and they'll distract with, semi-automatic this, and, oh, they don't even know what an AR is, and, oh, these liberals. Well, that's a distraction. Instead of addressing the actual issue and coming up with actual suggestions that they're serious about, they want to talk about your lingo. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm informing the audience of what's going on, regardless of whose narrative it supports or rebuts. Right? I'm the most disloyal person on YouTube. I am not with any camp. I seek truth. I seek understanding of what's happening in this country, politically and otherwise. Right? So if I see them playing games with the semiotic, whatever, I'm going to point that out. But I'm also going to point out that the people who usually do that are frauds.
As this investigation proceeds, you can imagine there were hundreds of individuals just enjoying South Street, as they do every single weekend when this shooting broke out.
It's Come Back Live. My photographer John is straining his back to show you this. You probably heard it. That is a police helicopter over this area right now. No doubt taking some pictures, looking for evidence, seeing how this all unfolded. Again, this is the first.
This is the Debate Me channel. Debate Me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. When is this going to stop? When is the left and the right going to get serious about this and actually take some action? Right? You got folks on the left that will talk about solutions to address this issue, but you can tell a lot of times they haven't put a lot of thought into the solutions. They haven't even spent enough time to educate themselves on what they're even talking about, which opens the door for dishonest actors on the right to distract and change the conversation to talk about, oh, they don't know anything about guns. They don't know what they're talking about, right? So they talk about that instead of talking about the actual issue, right? An absolute clown show, right? Misinformed people on the left and bad faith actors on the right. And it's just a whole shit show, right? What's the end result? Nothing gets done ever. Amazing.